What's going on, YouTube? It is Mr. Squatch here with another teardown, because why not? I mean, I like doing video game stuff, so why not figure out how these video games work? Today, we're going to be taking apart my trusty Game Boy Color Special Pokemon Edition. It's not exactly a very easy, Game Boy to find, actually. It's worth a pretty penny. Now, fortunately, I've already gone ahead and taken out the screws, but today you will need a Phillips head screwdriver, which I have right here. Normal, standard Phillips head, and a tri-wing, because it's just not Nintendo without it being a tri-wing. So, like I said, fortunately, I've already taken the screws out, so we don't have to sit through that whole thing. But when you do go to take them out, there's holes here, 2 on the side, and 2 up on the top here. So, fortunately that they're already gone, let's just lift that off and look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Look at that heat shield right there. That's going to be where the game cartridge is plugged in, and right behind that motherboard and all the circuits and chips and everything. Now, let's just sit that right over here for now. Let's get a look at this. Let's just get a good look at that CPU. 1998 Japan Nintendo CPU. That is beautiful. And in that ribbon cable up there, look at the detail in that ribbon cable. That is beautiful. Alright. And then we got the connector adaptation. Not really adaptation, but for if you're playing Pokemon, that's where you put in the trading cable and other, output things. Got the power switch right here. Let's switch up and down. Obviously, this can just easily pop out if you really wanted to. We're just going to sit it right on the floor, obviously, because we're a professional YouTuber. Why not? But, yeah, that just pops out as easy as it goes, but that's why if it ever pops out and you don't know where the switch is, it just sits right in there, flush with it. It is perfect. It's all good. Now, as you see, this black piece right here is actually technically soldered right into the motherboard. So it ain't going nowhere, man. And I'll show you when I take out these 3 screws here and lift the motherboard up, it's actually attached to it. But, as people may know, these speakers tend to go pretty well, especially with old age. So, and the one way I learned how to check to see if it's actually the speaker and not the headphone jack of why, if you're not getting any sound of through your Game Boy Color, is if you have a little, electrical currency tester, you connect it to the little spot there and a little spot down on that side right there. Just ignore my long ass nails. So, and if you're getting any currency, that means that it's constantly reading that the headphone jack is working and not the speaker. If it's not, then it's the speaker that's not actually working. Because if it was reading this, then it only thinks that the system only thinks that you have a headphone in. But that's not the case, though. You want it out of your speaker. And another good way to test it without even needing that is if you're not getting any sound, no matter how much you turn the volume up and down or whatever, but you go to plug a headphone in, or if you even have speakers and you plug it at aux cord, just ignore my belch, then you know your speaker is gone. Pretty much how it is, and that's what is wrong with mine. But unfortunately, as you can see down there, I need a soldering iron to be able to unsolder this poor thing. And it's kind of stupid, but what are you going to do? It's Nintendo, and until I have more money and get a soldering iron, or at least borrow it from my friend, the King of Games 98, then it's just going to be like that for now. But that's just beautiful looking at that. I love it. So beautiful. Alright, now let's finish gawking at this thing. Not take our tri-wing screwdriver. I'm going to take our Phillips head and take out these 3 screws here. I'm not really going to try and skip through it just because it's only 3 screws. There we go. I know. People, you're like, why am I watching some dude unscrew a circuit board on here? Well, it is actually necessary to try and unscrew it. It is actually necessary, without yeeting our screw, to be able to get to the speaker on the under part. Now, you're going to want to lift this up because of the ribbon cable up here. And you always want to be careful with those ribbon cables. You don't want to kink it, you don't want to rip it, because you will lose that screen. As you can see, it goes all the way down. The ribbon cable folds all the way down underneath of this pad that's foam sitting on top of the motherboard here. Now, we'll keep a good look right there. Try and zoom in a little bit on that. Okay, now this is our speaker that will need to come out, and as you can see, it is soldered onto the board, and it makes it a lot easier trying to take the actual motherboard up and back rather than, as you can see, it's actually a little magnetic. Look at that, it's actually taking up some of my screws. The back of that is actually magnetic. We're learning new things here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll move those over here. Move that there. Okay. Now, that's the speaker that will eventually come out. It's unfortunate that it doesn't work, but what are you going to do? Now, we'll come over here. Like I said, this is actually the back of your screen, and that ribbon cable is actually the length of this. Comes all the way down here. Okay? And then this is the rubber for the buttons. It's our B and A and B, B and A, B and E, whatever. And then just like with my Super Nintendo video, if you got a chance to go check that out there, the select and start buttons are all one piece. Just one piece that sticks right through. It's very convenient, because those would probably be hard to find. And along with any other controllers you ever take apart and need to fix, and you ever sort of misplace where this is supposed to go, any rubber piece is actually supposed to go. Luckily, Nintendo, even in the Switch controllers and any other sort of controllers, have these little nubs, and usually they have certain size holes, and sometimes they're different, sometimes they're the same, that will guide you and tell you how that's supposed to sit in there, just like that. As you can see, we pull it out, and that's that. So it won't really matter how you put it in, because there's only going to be one way it's supposed to go in. Just like, except with this is a little bit different. But as you can see, it's only going to go in that one of two ways. So, and that's for the D-pad. That's for our little arrows. And that's pretty much that. We'll put this little bad boy back together. And as you can see, this is where you may get confused. Sometimes if this accidentally slides, pardon my not being able to see it, this may sometimes slide or fall out, and it won't line up with where the actual switch sits with the motherboard. And if that were to happen, then there's no fret. Also, you want to make sure, the same with the speaker as well. As you can see, that little nub right there where my thumb is, sorry if I keep moving it out of the way, sits right into the groove right there, and then boom, all holes lined up. There we go. Let's start with our little center screw, putting it back right there with our Phillips head screwdriver. Luckily, these are shorter screws. So, and you always, that's another tip, when you're screwing things in, giggity, you got to be careful not to make it too tight, otherwise the buttons will not actually register that you're pressing them on the circuit board. And there we go, we lost our switch. That's what I mean, is it can just fall out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And that's all you have to do, is make sure it just stays right there. And sometimes you gotta love magnetic tip screws. Now obviously I'm kind of wasting time by trying to actually screw these back in instead of just ending the video. And I apologize. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But as I told you a little bit ago, you got to be careful when you're screwing these in. You don't want to make it too tight, but you also don't want to be too loose. Too much space and it won't read, but if you make it too tight, then it won't read either. Gotta be careful not to strip these old screws either, because it's not fun when you do. And unfortunately, even old or new screws can and will strip if you're not careful, or if you're too rough with them. So that is why you gotta be careful with old and new things like that. Alright, well, that'll do for that. Everything's still all in place, luckily. Okay. And now we'll put it back right over like that. And to save an extra 30 seconds or so now, I'm not going to really have to screw that in, but I will after the end of this video. So, that is the complete teardown and a little assistance with trying to replace your speaker. So, other than that, that's our full video. Like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video so I can get a little more publicity. I'm not trying to beg, just trying to state the obvious. Everybody, have a great day wherever and whenever you are. Bye-bye.